are some videos you don't just watch, you feel them. A moment frozen in time that refuses to make sense. A girl, alone in an elevator, acting like she's not alone. Her name was Elisa Lam. And what happened to her is not just a mystery, it's a documented case filled with facts that still leave questions behind. It began in January 2013. Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old Canadian student, arrived in Los Angeles alone. She was traveling across California, documenting her journey through blog posts and photos, staying in budget hotels along the way. Eventually, she checked in to the Cecil Hotel. At the time, it was a low-cost hotel in downtown Los Angeles, located near an area known for crime and instability. Despite its past reputation, it was still operating and receiving guests. Elise stayed there for several days. Hotel staff later confirmed that she was alone, and there was no record of her being with anyone else. She was also in regular contact with her parents, calling them every day. Until January 31st. That was the last day anyone heard from her. After that, she vanished. A missing persons investigation began. Police searched the hotel. They checked her room. They brought in search dogs. They even searched the rooftop, but nothing was found. No trace, no sign of struggle, no evidence of a crime. And then, weeks later, something surfaced. A video. Police released surveillance footage from inside one of the hotel's elevators. The video quickly went viral. It showed Elise behaving in a way that investigators later described as erratic. She pressed multiple buttons, stepped in and out of the elevator, looked into the hallway repeatedly as if reacting to something, but no one else was visible in the footage. The video raised more questions than answers. And then, the case took a disturbing turn. Hotel guests began complaining. The water pressure was low. The water looked discolored. Some said it tasted strange. These complaints led a maintenance worker to inspect the rooftop water tanks. What he found changed everything. Inside one of the tanks was Elisa Lam's body. She had been missing for nearly 2 weeks. The tank was part of the hotel's water system. It supplied water to guest rooms, to sinks, to showers, to drinking taps. The discovery shocked not just investigators, but the entire world. But the deeper authorities looked, the more complicated the case became.
Covering you. Go. Hold. Listen.
There were no signs of physical trauma, no evidence of assault, no indication of a struggle. Her personal belongings, clothes, watch, and room key were found in the tank with her. Her phone, however, was never recovered. The autopsy concluded that the cause of death was drowning, and officially, the case was ruled an accidental death. Investigators noted that Elisa Lam had a history of bipolar disorder and may not have been taking her prescribed medication at the time. This raised the possibility of a psychotic episode, a state in which perception becomes distorted, reality becomes unclear, fear becomes real, even if nothing is there. Authorities believe she may have accessed the rooftop using a fire escape and entered the water tank herself. But even that explanation leaves questions. The rooftop was supposed to be secured. Access required a key. There were alarms. yet no alarm was reported to have gone off. The tank itself had a heavy lid. Investigators debated whether it would have been possible for her to close it from inside. Some reports suggested the hatch was open when the body was discovered. Others claimed it was closed. Even within official accounts, details seemed unclear. And then there's the elevator. Why didn't the doors close? Why was she pressing so many buttons? Why was she appear to hide, to react to something unseen? Experts later suggested that the elevator may have been placed into a hold mode, possibly due to multiple buttons being pressed, preventing the doors from closing. But that still doesn't explain her behavior. And that's where the case shifts from facts into uncertainty, because everything after that moment is interpretation. Some believe it was purely psychological, a tragic mental health episode that escalated into fatal confusion. Others believe something else happened, that someone was involved, that something occurred outside the frame, beyond what the camera could capture. But investigators found no evidence to support a crime. No fingerprints, no injuries, no signs of forced entry, nothing that pointed to another person. And yet, the questions remain. How did she reach the tank? Why that location? Why that behavior? Why does the footage still feel wrong? Even today, years later, the case continues to be studied, analyzed, debated. Documentaries have been made. Experts have reviewed every detail. But no explanation has fully answered every question. And that is what makes this case different, because it is not just a mystery built on rumors. It is a case built on facts that don't completely fit together. The video still exists, watched by millions, replayed over and over again. And every time it leaves the same feeling. Not certainty, not closure, but something else, something unresolved. Because sometimes the truth is not hidden, it's incomplete. And sometimes the most disturbing stories are the ones where the evidence is real, but the answers are not. So, the question remains, what really happened to Elisa Lam? Was it a tragic accident? A moment of psychological crisis? Or something that we still don't understand? Because in the end, the scariest part of this story is not what we see, it's what we can't explain.